Hello, it's Mardi Lee here and welcome to the ReNewy Living Podcast. This is a show that helps you live sustainably. All it takes is a reduce and reuse and start where you live approach. Based in Newcastle, Australia, each conversation will be with changemakers in my community who are doing good for people and planet. You'll discover how community, culture and our natural environment intertwine to create a positive environmental impact. Together, we'll learn how to naturally embed sustainability into our unique lifestyles. So join me on the ReNewy Living Podcast. When you're decluttering the house or having a clear out, donating to your local op shop is a great first choice. Donating your stuff gives you the feel-goods, knowing the op shop will sell your stuff to help others. But what really happens behind the scenes of the op shop donation door? Two people who know about running successful op shops are Lifeline retail employees Dallas Harper and David Ison. As a parent of a fashion-conscious teen, David understands how op shops are better for your budget and the planet. His colleague Dallas lives locally to the Toronto op shop. Her insights show how supporting pre-loved first has a positive impact in your community. Welcome, David and Dallas.
Thank you.
Hi.
What does actually happen when we bring our donations to an op shop?
So first off, we'll sort through and decide what we're going to keep in store. We can't keep everything. So it'll be checking of the quality, deciding what we need in our store, and then any excess we return to our warehouse where it's distributed to all our stores.
So your op shop puts all the donations you receive directly into your op shop?
We try and keep everything in store, and then it's just the excess that we then share amongst all our stores.
We try to, where we can, to try and keep the donations that are received locally in those shops. We find that respects the donation and gives other people that potentially may be looking for like products that have been donated the opportunity to purchase those.
Less handling as well for staff, whether it be in store, at the warehouse.
So you've just sorted through all of the donations. How do you determine the pricing?
We do a lot of research on the donations that we receive. The guys have access to the internet in every single shop. So they look at the original sale price of those items, and we look at what we can realistically get for those items, again, being respectful to the people that have donated the goods, and also putting them at a cheap price so that they actually sell and raise funds for our cause.
What happens to items that don't actually sell?
So we have the opportunity to move them amongst the network. We've got about 14 stores across Newcastle, Central Coast, Hunter and Port Stephens. So just across those areas, we can see opportunities where some products and some pricing will sell better in some locations than other locations. So we readily move merchandise around in order to, again, provide the best possible outcomes for both the donation and the customers that enter our stores.
How do you determine what is quality and what is not?
A lot of it's very obvious. You're getting stained items and just items that you wouldn't buy. Is a jumper all pilly and they're ripped stains. So that's your first level. And then it's, okay, is this items that we sell in our store, or do we know that they sell at a different store? A lot of the fast fashion now we're trying to do as warehouse clearance sales because you just can't get a price point for that. So there's kind of that 3-step process of, is it worthy? Is it even available to be sold? Where am I putting that? At what is it? Good use condition or excellent use condition? Is it newy tags? And then we work out the structure from there.
What happens to all of that stock that you look at and you go, it doesn't meet the quality standards? What happens to that?
As Dallas said, we've got an opportunity to clear it out through our warehouse sales where we have big tubs of clothing that potentially doesn't meet the saleable standard. Customers have the opportunity to come into our store, some of our stores or our warehouses across the network where they can actually fill like a grocery bag for $5 and then they can potentially upcycle it, create it into other items. The next stage after that, if it doesn't sell in that category, is that we actually have a relationship with a national supplier called 110 who actually, we bail up that merchandise and they export it overseas and then it's recycled into other products.
having that localized solution of having the warehouse option first is a great first solution. And no doubt you've seen a big impact in what you can provide to the local community.
It's been surprising. We've only been doing warehouse sales for a couple of months now across a number of locations in our network. And the overwhelming feedback has been really positive that there's an opportunity just to give those items just that last chance to be purchased. And in most cases, it's upcycled, whether it be into curtains or cushions or throws or anything like that. There's some really skillful people out there in the community that look at that merchandise and really value what they have an opportunity to do with it.
David, you mentioned earlier about the national supplier of 110 Enterprises. I've done a lot of op shop trails in my time, and I find that by talking to all of the op shops, this is where they usually head to as the main contractor. There's mixed reviews about that. There's complexities because 110 Enterprises, from the level that I know, is they, as you said, they can bail it up and export it to countries which may have negative social and environmental elements to it. But what I also find is op shops have been the last port of call for our stuff, and op shops don't know what else can be done with our stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really interesting conversation to have, and we're fortunate in that 110 work with Charitable Reuse Australia, the national body for op shops, and they're constantly working with the whole of industry to make sure that they're compliant where they possibly can. One of the really interesting things a couple of months ago at the Newcastle show, we had a pop-up stall, and on the Friday we had Newcastle Upcycling that was actually there, and they had a great pile of clothes, and they were using those, and they made some fantastic cushions. So I think the opportunity is definitely there, and part of the challenge that I have and the shop managers have and my direct reports have is how do we elevate the level of understanding in the community that there is an opportunity to grab some of these products that are literally beyond their last chance and reuse them in some meaningful way.
Fast fashion. Let's comment about that, shall we? Because it's a really big thing. Fast fashion, whether you look at global fashion as well, companies like H&M, a global brand. I've just been overseas and seen H&M and Zara. They're there. Kmart's not there. Kmart's a national organisation, and it gets a lot of slack. But there are other brands out there. So would you like to talk about fast fashion and how that then filters down and impacts upon op shops?
I'm going to say it's crazy, the sheer volume. So whether it be your national, so Kmart, those kind of stores, or then it's Temu and Shein, Zara, all of those, the sheer volume that we get through donations. I think if people actually saw the amount and knowing that those cheaper items, they might be $5 to buy brand new. So what do we do with it? I think if people actually saw the amount, they might stop and think about when they are purchasing from those big global fashion brands. ABC Australia did something on that there's enough clothes already in existence to clothe the next 6 generations. So that alone, let's get through it first rather than just keep buying and buying and buying and buying. Plus we have people that do hoarders' houses. We get that. So again, it's that compulsion to shop. Seeing it on that scale, it actually frightens me just how much.
It's really interesting for me because I spent about 3 decades working on the dark side for a large discount department store. And at the time that I was working for that organisation, I'll be honest, I didn't really understand the size of the problem or the challenge that we have, because in that organisation, it was all about selling as much as what you can. It was a high volume retailer. But as Dallas said, now that I'm on the other side of it, the light side, the good side, the pure volume of merchandise that we see through there's been purchased brand new at $3, $4, and $5 that's used just a few times and then it becomes unwearable. It's a real challenge for us to identify what can we do with it. And some of that merchandise, there's some good quality stuff that comes through. There's no question of that at all. But a very, very significant percentage of it is unsaleable. So we have to pretty much make that call straight away that it needs to be shredded and sent overseas for recycling.
So overseas, why can't we do it in Australia?
That's a really good point. We would jump at the opportunity to do it. The pure volume that we go through. So I look after our warehouse in Thornton, and we bale product. So to put it in context, so a wool bale, which for us is about 160 kilos, we would fill about 50 of those a month of product that is unsaleable. I have a similar sort of volume from our warehouse up in Lismore and down in Victoria, where we also operate shops. It's not quite as big as that because they have less number of stores, but it's a really significant issue. Then multiply that out by the number of different retailers that use the same service, and you get an idea of the pure volume we're talking about. And we're very fortunate. I mean, there is that bit about 110 for sure, about perhaps some processes that need to be adjusted within that organisation and the whole process. But if it wasn't for that, an organisation like that, we are talking container load plus container load that is potentially just going to landfill.
It's unfathomable, the quantity that you're talking about, and that's just in our local area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really important for op shops to look into more local solutions about what else they can do. Dallas, in your op shop, what else do you do to reuse or to upcycle things that otherwise couldn't be sold?
So we're hopefully launching at the end of July. We actually have like an office space that we're going to run workshops and have upcycling out of. So we have like a volunteer that's happy to, she's ecstatic just to show what we can do with that, what we call the export stock. So whether we make rags out of it or jewelry or what, we're just going to see whatever we can. I have another volunteer who has worked in the film industry, so is really good at looking at clothing especially and going, okay, I can fix that with this. So just trying to, for us, just at our store, just looking at just those little things that we can change and try and get people on board to upcycle. And it's just at a workshop at a time. I think that's all we can do for now because it is such a huge problem. That's our small step.
And at a network level, clearly we look at opportunities. If there's goods that have metal in them or have got electrical cords, we clearly recycle those sort of products. If we have books or magazines or cardboard boxes that come through that we need to dispose of, clearly they're recycled as well. So we're constantly looking for opportunities to reduce our impact on the environment through landfill. And that in turn obviously reduces our costs. A significant part of our operating costs relates to the dumping of merchandise that is unsaleable.
What do you think are the biggest misconceptions about op shops?
That we're pre-loved stores now. I think op shops of old, there's very few left, where most pre-loved stores now raise money to fund a service. So for us, it's the crisis line. And I think just getting that message across is very hard. There are still your smaller op shops that are there for people in need, where these days it's a pre-loved store. There are still items there where we will try and help whoever we can for those in need, but just on the greater message is that it's a pre-loved store.
I think the op shop when I was growing up was all about the church hall or the church fete, if you like, and it was potentially the economically disadvantaged person that went and shopped at those outlets. But now it's very much a huge range of people in our community that are visiting our shops. I've got a very fashion-conscious teenage daughter, and she has a casual job, and every dollar that she earns is extremely valuable to her. So where she can, she visits shops with me. And instead of helping, which I would like her to do, she's probably out there loading up on goods that she can find. And then there was an example just a couple of weeks ago. She was out and about with me and she picked up a bag full of product that would have cost her, $250, $300. She got it for sub $50. And she was over the moon. And this is branded product, whether it be from Gander and Cotton On and City Beach. And so she was over the moon. So I think it's cracking that preconceived idea that where the poor people go. I know that's probably a harsh way of putting it, but it's absolutely where environmentally conscious people shop. It's absolutely where teenagers are looking for something a bit quirky,
unique
a bit different.
Fashion choices, yeah.
Absolutely. I was down at East Gosford on Saturday, and there is a fantastic lounge down there that is really, really colourful, very, very quirky, pre-loved in fantastic condition, and it would suit someone's house really easily. So it's about looking for those individual quirky items. And I think the other part of it too is that when I was a kid growing up and I was at my grandparents' place or whatever, they'd come out and they'd serve a delicious casserole or a cake or something like that in a
Pyrex.
In a Pyrex or something like that. So when you see some of those items in store, it's as much about bringing back that memory of your childhood or of a really happy set of circumstances. And I think that's probably the appeal that you don't get if you go and buy something off a mass retailer's shelf. I think it's important to me. You can almost smell your grandmother's cooking sometimes when you pick up some of these items. It's and maybe it's just me, but I think it's an important part of that whole shopping experience at an op shop.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, my biggest mantra is you never know what you can find at an op shop. What's been the most surprising item that's been donated to the op shop?
I have one at the moment through a deceased estate. Beautiful painting. And I actually reached out to the artist. It's a $6,000 painting.
Wow, that's
interesting.
pretty amazing.
It's a beautiful painting, and he was really lovely and replied to me. He's over in Tuscany, Australian artist. I was bringing David going, oh my God, guess what I got?
I've seen a picture of that on your Instagram page,
yeah.
And it is an absolutely stunning painting.
It's gorgeous. So things like that. But then we get mystery items that nobody actually knows. They're our favourite, and you'll send a photo to all the other managers and ask customers, what's this one? Do you know what this is? So that's fun too.
And have you ever solved what those mystery items are?
Most of the time we do, either through asking everyone or Google search, like do the Google photo, and that'll tell us what it is. I had a beautiful, just looked like a pin, and it was a really vintage, solid gold neck pin, like an old stock collar pin. You just get really random stuff. I've got two things that I still can't figure out what they are, but we keep asking. Keep asking till we sell them.
There's definitely two arms to op shops. There's the welfare component and there's the sustainability or the retail component. So op shops did start in Australia in the early 20s. Very quickly in the 20s, Vinnie's, who started the clothing bureau, realised that the op shops are perfect for everybody, not just for those in need. So there has been this major switch to sustainability. But can you tell us how the op shop as a retail outlet supports your mission?
Lifeline shops across our network, we are a major income source for our crisis support services. So for every $39 in sales that's generated for us, that answers one phone call. We answer thousands of phone calls every single day. So we exist to support that service. We come to work knowing that we're there providing a service so people can purchase for a purpose. It's absolutely at the heart of everything that we do. And we're very fortunate to be able to go home at the end of each shift every day knowing that we've made a contribution to that program.
Most op shops are church-based, non-for-profit charities. Lifeline isn't. So how did Lifeline get into the op shops?
Lifeline shops have been around for a little over 30 years. And again, it was predominantly started as another source of revenue to support the crisis support services. You can only tap on the shoulders of corporate donors so often and receive so much. And we are extremely fortunate as an organisation to have a number of great community corporate partners throughout our community. But it's another opportunity for us to give a little bit back to the community, particularly, as we said before, about those people in need, and also to add some much-needed revenue to our service.
In addition to being a pre-loved shop, what other value does an op shop bring to your community?
I think community. A lot of the customers at Toronto I've known for many years because I work in my community. My kids went to school there. They've played sport there. And I've worked in the town itself. So we have built very good relationships with most of my customers. And with our new workshop room, to bring community back into store. So whether that's smaller craft groups, book clubs, just to bring that community sense back. It's a very big motto for Lifeline.
There's also an opportunity as well that we've got so many people in our community that want to give back through volunteering. So our Lifeline shops give hundreds of people across the areas or the geographies that we serve an opportunity to give something back to the community. And we've got people that are in there five days a week, 8 hours a day. And then we've got other people that are in there for 1 or 2 hours, maybe once a week, once a fortnight. And that's fantastic, but it's an opportunity for those people of all ages to give back to the community. And that's a really important part, an opportunity to meet up with like-minded people and just get together and knowing that they're making a contribution to a really worthy cause.
I have 19 volunteers.
Wow, that's a super amount of volunteers. And knowing that volunteers are really the backbone of making an op shop operational.
And they're the heart too. I couldn't do it without them. And like David said, I have one volunteer that comes every day and he's there 8 hours a day just sheerly for the love. They all bring a skill set, knowledge, fun, joy. Like we have dance-offs at lunchtime sometimes, you know, a cuppa, it gives them relationships as well. Like they're all from different areas and different stages in their life as well, and helping each other in the meantime. It's lovely. It's my favourite part.
The different personalities add to the feel of the shop. We have rules and regulations in terms of what we can and can't do within our network, but it's the volunteers and the shop managers that really add the personality to the 4 walls. So the fact that we can draw on so many different life experiences in our shop makes the whole shopping experience or the environment that you walk into very unique. So all across the 24 plus stores that I look after, every single one of those shops has its own very unique personality based on not just the shop managers, but predominantly the volunteers that work within those 4 walls. So it's really, really important to us and we really appreciate it.
As a customer, when I walk into op shops, you can really feel the volunteer vibe, whether it's working. And it does feel so much nicer to shop in an op shop where you can feel the volunteers are loving their time at being there. And I do also think that comes down to the skill and the motivation of the op shop manager. So Dallas, you're in a paid position. You're not volunteer. Yeah. I think that does make a big difference.
I think so. I'm responsible at the end of the day for the store and for my team as well. While they know that we have goals and targets, for them they're the community focus, and I try and work harder than any of them because I would never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do. But as a team, we often get many comments about the atmosphere, and you've been into Toronto. It's a really good atmosphere and we try to have fun. Just makes it a pleasure to go to work.
It makes the day, doesn't it?
It does make the day. It just makes it, I get up in the morning, I'm happy to go to work. It's a feel-good feeling at the end of the day. Not only have you helped our services, but I've had a great time with people that I just think the world of. So
that's super to hear. When donating to op shops, what are your best tips for when people want to donate to the op shop?
If you wouldn't give it to a mate, don't donate.
I love that expression.
If you can possibly avoid bringing your items in plastic bags, the reusable grocery bags are fine for us because we can use them again within our network. But the garbage bag sort of thing is a bit problematic for us because it becomes a waste issue for us. Cardboard boxes are fine again because we can recycle it, or bring it in a bag that you want back yourself, and then we can happily empty that and give it back to you. But as Dallas said, if you wouldn't give it to a family friend, it's probably not something that we potentially could sell in our shops.
Yeah.
How has the quality and the quantity of donations changed over the years?
So I've been working in op shops for quite a long time. I think the quality is the same. Most people generally donate good quality items. It's probably just more the sheer volume now of like your fast fashion and not being able to resell it. I think that's the biggest part. Facebook Marketplace, I think, changed a lot of things too because a lot of people resell their own products. So therefore, I guess your higher market things, we probably don't get as many of now. It's the sheer volume of fast fashion. It's my thorn in my side.
We've got a number of outlets that sell pre-loved furniture, and what I've noticed even in the short time that I've been around is that the volume of the higher quality older furniture that's solid timber is gradually on the decline, and we're seeing more and more people who have purchased, whether it be flat pack furniture or I'm going to say it, fast furniture, if that's the fast fashion furniture. There's a significant amount of that out in the community. So that's a challenge for us, because some of that stuff is really set it up, use it, and then potentially dispose of it. So whilst there's a short-term cost saving for the consumer in terms of using it, the likelihood is they're going to have to replace that item a couple of times over, as opposed to the life cycle of a slightly better quality item. So coming across better quality hardwood furniture and even better quality electrical items is probably on the decline a bit. And again, that's a reflection of the current cost of living issues that everyone's experiencing.
So going to donate electrical items, does every op shop sell electrical items?
We do.
The vast majority of shops across the network do. Whenever an item like that is donated to our stores, we have a responsibility and obligation to tag and test that item to make sure that it works, and obviously to make sure that it's still fit for purpose. And again, if we feel that it doesn't meet that criteria, then we do what we can to recycle the item.
In June 2024, Charitable Recycling Australia did a report about recycling and upcycling. Have you had a chance to read that? Can you share anything you know about that?
We have a pretty close relationship with that organisation, and it's interesting that they're becoming a stronger advocate for our shops and our op shoppers, if you like, around the country. It pretty much very clearly outline exactly what we're seeing at the coalface in terms of the type of product that comes into the store, the changing face of the customers that are actually entering our shops, and the greater level of awareness of both sustainability, environmental concerns, also the piece about volunteering, how much of an important part that is to the society as a whole. So it was a really interesting read and very much reflective of what we're seeing at the coalface.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about that we haven't touched on?
Donating goods to an op shop is a fantastic way for a lot of people to give back to the community, and they probably don't realise the significance of what they're doing, how much of an impact it can have on people's lives. Everyone at the moment, there's a lot of people at the moment feeling that in order to go green or to be environmentally conscious costs more money than probably what they think it does. But by donating an item to an op shop, or purchasing an item from an op shop, or volunteering your time to an op shop, not just ours, but any one of the different providers across the country, is a great opportunity to give something back and have a real positive impact on community and environment more broadly.
Thank you. That's a really good insight. Thanks, David, and thanks, Dallas, for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you to Awesome Newcastle for their support. Thank you so much for tuning in to the ReNewy Living Podcast. This podcast was recorded on Awabakal country. I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and waters in the Newcastle and Lake Macquarie region of New South Wales. I hope you're feeling more confident about doing better for our people and planet by taking a start where you live approach to living sustainably. If this episode has spurred you into action, please feel free to follow and share it with your friends. It would mean the world to me. Head over to my website, renewyliving.com.au, for the show notes and blog posts from this episode. And you can also sign up to my regular emails. I look forward to sharing more stories with you next time.